This week on Pivot with Purpose. They're not the reason why the church went down under.
No.
Because pastors cheat all the time.
Yes.
They're human. This is a huge thing. He cheated on her with
the nanny.
The
house nanny.
She wasn't the only one.
No.
The reason he got found out is because he was meeting up with some girl at Central Park, hanging out there with her, and she kind of found out, and she's the one that aired him out to TMZ.
She did.
So he was out here dropping dick off in different places.
Yeah.
I'm a little skeptical sometimes, though, because I'm like, it sounds good. He's a great communicator. You know how to turn on when the cameras come on. You could still be doing shit and just got better at it. Hey friend, you're listening to Pivot with Purpose. This is my show where I pivoted from shit I'm 30, where I was dreading turning 30. I had a failed marriage, failed engagement after that, and I don't have a relationship with my immediate family. But through it all, I came out the other side with a thriving business, an unexpected radio morning show of my own, and a platform where I can reach millions of people and help them walk in their truth. I am now celebrating every step of my journey into continuously finding my purpose, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Sometimes this journey looks like shit, and it probably sounds even worse, but it's still our journey, and I'm learning right along with you to enjoy it. There's always a rainbow after the rain falls. Now, if you need advice in pivoting in any aspect of your life, relationships, career, spirituality, send your questions or story to askcarlawomares@gmail.com or shoot me a DM at Carla Womares. Now, let's start the show. Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Pivot with Purpose. We are back and we got our resident guest, Paola is back.
Don't say Paola.
Sorry,
Paola.
No. When you get the subscribers tab, it's Paola.
That's the only way you can call me Paola. You gotta pay for it. Only way you can call me that.
Paola, just Paola's on Instagram. Today we're gonna have an episode very much things that we've been watching lately, things that we kind of been through lately. So it's very timeless. And it'll make you maybe watch some documentaries that we've watched. But before we get there, we're going to do our Florida news. And I'm actually going to really love this doing it with people from Florida.
Because I get it.
Because we get it. But then I think it's going to be even better when it's people that aren't from Florida. They're going to be like, y'all are crazy.
No,
but we understand. That. We understand and we have reasons why we do certain things. Well, Florida news this week is all about our governor as of 2024. Ron DeSantis. So he signed a bill recently here in Florida where he is making it illegal to release balloons. You know what we've done since at least our lifetime? People usually go to Dollar Tree, fill up the balloons, Party City, Walmart, helium, things at home, put a little thing, everybody releases a balloon. It's usually for when someone has passed.
A remembrance.
They do it for other, I think baby showers maybe at times if they know what the sex of the baby is and the balloons fly out.
Oh, yeah.
With the color. So there's different instances why people will release balloons. Well, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, our governor, or my governor, signed this bill banning intentional balloon releases. What does this mean? This is called the House Bill 321. Funny because that's our area code here.
That is our area code.
It makes it unlawful for any person or organization to organize or intentionally cause the release of balloons. This is taking effect July 1st, so it's already in effect as this is being released. The balloons that are released on behalf of a governmental agency for scientific or meteorological purposes, balloons released indoors. Oh, so the ones that aren't part of it.
Yeah.
So anything that the government releases, so if the government can do it.
Yeah. Like
anything scientific or meteorological purposes, balloons released indoors and hot air balloons recovered after launching will be permitted.
Yes. But the kicker is.
Here we go. The bill also exempts children 6 years old and younger.
Right.
So if you have a kindergarten class releasing balloons,
all
VPK, let it go.
All of them.
All of them can do it. But if you're over the age of 6, what happens? A violation would be considered a non-criminal littering infraction. The bill also states that the court may require those who violate the order to pick up litter or participate in equivalent labor based on the crime.
They're going to make 6-year-olds pick up trash on the highway.
Her daughter is 7.
And she has let go of plenty balloons.
She's going to be on the side of I-4 cleaning up litter.
She better not.
They
got childcare?
They better have somebody watching them.
You know what? That's a business.
You know what? Release the balloon.
We got to trademark something.
Let's get all these cheering to release these balloons in Florida, and that might be like daycare. How long do they have to go and pick up litter for?
What is it? How do they do punishment? 6 years old, 6 minutes?
Yeah,
Isn't that how the punishment goes?
6 years old, 6 hours. Give me a break.
6 hours.
If I don't have to go?
I can't imagine seeing Rylan pick up trash on the side of the... Her face of confusion, first of all.
Listen, this is what I would do as a mom. So here you are, acting up at home, and you need punishment. I'm going to take you to in front of the police department, give you 5 balloons and force you to release those balloons and take you inside and turn you in.
That's traumatic.
If the punishment is to take you to go pick up litter, that's it. Take her.
You're helping the community at the same time.
Absolutely. And you can give me a break from my badass kid that don't know how to listen. That is your consequence.
Life consequences.
Absolutely. So you don't have to threaten them at first. So instead of the first threat for me, it was the fire department. Adoption. Boom. Giving you up.
Oh, Lord. Keep
Keep acting up, fire department. I didn't have balloons at the time. But now that as of July 2024, we got balloon releases, I really need to have more information as to what the punishment will be, because I feel like I will release intentionally those balloons for them to get certain consequences.
The price of helium is going to keep going up. Have you seen how much balloons cost now? It's just going to keep going up. People are going to stop buying balloons.
Well, it might go down.
No, it's going to go up because there's not enough supply and demand. So now it costs more to keep it up.
Yeah, maybe.
We're going to be releasing...
So it says, here's what Oceana Field Campaign's manager said. She said, Florida made the right call today in banning intentional balloon releases. Balloons are one of the deadliest forms of plastic pollution for ocean wildlife. Wait, what? Don't they go in the air?
Yeah. I mean, if you want to get scientific, the helium does mess up the ozone, and the ozone is what's...
She said ocean... Things. No. They're saying this is for the ocean wildlife.
Eventually, it goes into the water.
If we're in Central Florida, that helium is going to come down by the time it gets to somewhere else in Central Florida.
We got bigger things to worry. It's too hot.
So
we got bigger things to worry about. Fuck the balloons.
You know what? I'm starting to believe in global warming.
Oh, now?
Yeah. I think they might be onto something.
Because it keeps getting hotter every year, huh?
It's so hot.
It's because of the balloons.
And I only know it's so hot because my poor little AC system is struggling.
It's hot as
It
heck.
doesn't stop.
We need... DeSantis ain't doing nothing about the electric bill. He ain't doing nothing about childcare.
Where is childcare?
Stop having kids.
They can't. They're already here.
Isn't that what Biden said? Or
one of them?
Stop having kids. That's how we figure out childcare. No more babies. Which I did my part.
But they take away the fart for us to stop having babies. They want to remove contraception. They want to remove the abortions. They make it
they can remove it now.
They shame us for adoption. So it's I got to keep the kid and you won't help me or whatever.
And it's hot.
And I have to carry this kid in this heat of global warming?
It's a lose-lose.
I had to carry something to put in the car today. I was like, oh my God, you're making me sticky.
It's nasty.
It was so hot. But yeah, so in Florida news, if you are coming to Florida and you're doing something along the lines of a remembrance or releasing balloons.
Don't do it.
And you're over 6 years old, don't do it. You're going to jail.
You will.
You're not going to jail. I still don't know what the repercussions
are.
are.
Listen, you do not want to end up dead on the side of the road because you got upset and a Florida cop got ballsy and decided to shoot you. So just don't do it.
Oh my God. Actually, I do want to talk about it here on this episode. Speaking of cops and being trigger happy, another Florida news, which wasn't supposed to be a Florida news, but I do want to bring awareness to it. I'm not sure if anything will be able to be done at all when it comes to this. I'll also reshare the video. It's actually kind of graphic. So maybe I'll give you her on Instagram for you to go look at it. I'm going to let you look at it. But essentially, this is a girl I used to work with back in the day. Her name is Hannah. And she showed a video from her camera in the suburbs, a very nice home. Her dog is a Rottweiler. There was a man walking his dog.
I saw it.
The dog ran out the door, which I absolutely understand. And I don't know which way to go here. I just don't think that was the first thing you do.
No.
Just, I don't know.
No.
It's don't you wait to see if there's... I don't know, whatever. And the other dog was a bigger dog also. It wasn't like it was a Yorkie.
They were both big dogs.
Both big dogs. So what happened here is the dog escaped the front door and ran towards the guy that was walking his dog. The man that's walking, but right behind him is the owner running. So he's literally 1 second behind the dog and they're screaming at the guy. He's not going to bite. He's not going to bite. He's friendly. He's not going to bite. Within
seconds.
Let me see if I'm watching. Whilst I'm watching the video. Hold on, let me start. 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds. Within 4 seconds, the man pulled a gun out, shoots the dog. The owner is already there with the dog, goes over, the dog is bleeding to death, kills the dog. From what they say, it's a very sweet Rottweiler. I don't know the dog. I've never met the dog myself, but I'm watching this video and I'm seeing like, first of all, that was really fast he took that gun. But he's a cop. He's a cop here in Florida, in Orlando.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes. Deputy Hunter Mans is his name.
Well, it's in his name.
His name is there. And the video is out. And people are definitely watching it. So if you want to look at this and give your opinion, so you saw it, what do you think?
First of all, I understand we Floridians, we love to protect our area. We love to protect our home, our space, no matter what. I think when you have a gun, you have such a big responsibility. You've taught me that.
Absolutely.
You have a huge responsibility. You need to be able to make a decision that can affect so many aspects of your life and somebody else. Number one. Number two, you're walking in this neighborhood, your dog, you probably have seen this dog before. You probably have seen this person before. You probably heard the owner saying, it's not going to bite, it's not going to bite. You're a policeman. I hope that you have gotten some kind of training for you to react under stress, which that's what that was, stress. So when do you get to put on your cop badge and take it off? Do you put it on when you get to shoot and get away with it, and then you take it off when I was in danger?
Wow. Yeah.
It's inappropriate. It was completely inappropriate.
Because the dog, if I'm looking at when it runs out, if I'm looking at it, the dog runs, and by the time he shoots him, the dog hadn't bit. It was just, the dog slowed down. It did. It slowed down to kind of like sniff the dog, which that's what dogs do. Mm-hmm. I also understand a point of view of like, oh, well, he's supposed to wait until the dog has chopped the head off.
You're a dog owner. If you feel like your dog is in danger, you pick up your dog.
Very much so.
If you have a child, you would pick up your child.
Right.
You pick up the dog. You hear somebody screaming at you, it's not going to bite, it's not going to bite. You see them coming. Why are you still, now you're doing it to show me that what you're doing is wrong. And that's where it's wrong.
And the fact that it got caught on video. So I'm not sure, if we'll get somewhere. What's crazy is that I did send it to the Shade Room and they responded. They were like, thank you. So I'm not sure if they'll post it or not.
No, they should, because I didn't know he was a cop. And now that adds another element.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're out in the field and stuff is popping off, you just shoot. You don't take into consideration other people that are around you, how it can affect. You might misfire and shoot an innocent person. No, you lived in the neighborhood. You've seen this. I can guarantee you've seen this person and this dog.
Right.
That dog is big. It walks outside.
Okay, so let's just say even if he's just on vacation there, right? It's not his house. It's a friend's house. He's staying there. He's walking his dog. At the end of the day, as a cop or as a person that owns a gun in the state of Florida, I am one of them. Your first instinct should not be to shoot. Your life was not in danger. Your life was not in danger. I won't say that I know the laws of what it looks like if your dog is in danger and how you can shoot a dog, but you can't just go around here killing a dog and shooting a dog dead that didn't do anything. You have to show that your life was in danger and that dog's life was not in danger. Now, there's also laws about having unleashed dogs, and can that somehow be a part of it? I don't know. I just figured I would share this. Hopefully they come to a resolution, but I can't even imagine her, I think it's her boyfriend or her partner who was running after the dog. He's like, I just can't get that vision off of me, holding my dog, him bleeding and falling, because the dog literally fell immediately.
Yeah, you can see he shot him and then it kind of ran this way and he fell. And again, I didn't know he was a cop. Now, if it was the other way around, if that cop's dog got out of the house, I don't care if he was screaming attack. If you shoot his dog,
you're going to jail.
You're going to jail. You just shot a police dog. All of a sudden, that's a police dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I hope he gets some kind of reprimand. Sir, you're a cop. You should know how to deal with stress.
But that also shows how trigger happy Floridians are, especially cops. There needs to be better processes for people that have guns and operate guns. And we have not only made it very easy for cops to do whatever they want to do, but we've also made it very easy for the public to have guns, because now Florida news, governor, Jesus.
This is changing the state.
This is just changing. Anybody here that's not a felon can own a gun now without a license.
18 and up. Your front brain's not done developing at 18.
My child can't wash the dishes on time, but she can get a gun.
That can kill multiple people.
And that just to me is wild. But yeah, that's the climate that we are in Florida. But The beaches are beautiful.
The sharks are out there.
There's no tax. Weather is great. It's hot, but it's way better than being in a blizzard. Pools everywhere.
Dating sucks. Don't come out here for dating. Come for the tan. Don't come for the man.
Oh, witty ass. I like it. Well, today we want to talk about, because we actually been watching a lot of like TV or pods and things that, I don't know, I've been really needing to get away from like work stuff and just see other things that are happening. And eventually it becomes content so I can talk to you guys about this. But it's gone viral on TikTok specifically.
Yeah.
And then I just heard the podcast of the Friend Zone, Fran, bring it up. So there's a show on HBO Max called Six Schizophrenic Brothers. Mm-hmm. You brought it up to me, and then in a separate conversation, my friend Wendy brought it up to me. She had just binge watched it, and I was like, let me sit down and watch this. And it left me flabbergasted. Mm-hmm. So basically the show, it goes over the life of the Galvin family. Where are they located? Do you remember?
I think I want to say it was somewhere in Idaho, Iowa, Colorado. It was up in the North Midwest.
Okay, I don't remember.
It was North Midwest.
Okay, well, it doesn't matter where they're from, regardless, because it was a family. They had 12 children, 10 sons, and then 2 daughters. Yep. The family they weren't, from what I know, on government assistant or anything. He had a great job.
He was in the military.
The mom also was a great mom. From what it seems, she was very dedicated to her children. Yeah. Great family. After a few years, their sons, one by one, started falling ill, and they were diagnosed with schizophrenia. So 6 of the 10 boys, 6 of the 12 children ended up with schizophrenia. There was so much going on in this family that you look back and it's just like a terrible, I don't know what's the word.
It's like a curse. That's the only way that it's an unfortunate family curse that even. Because I love that they had them. I love that they had the family still. They interviewed a lot of them.
They did interview a lot of
them. And
it's
something that this family's going to deal with for the rest of their life. Generation after generation after generation after generation.
So you're probably wondering what's going on. And for me, the only person that I know that I've met and that I know of having schizophrenia is, I think they're open about this. It's Andrew Schultz's brother.
Oh, yeah. He's mentioned it before.
He's mentioned it before. Okay, so Andrew's brother, he has schizophrenia, and they've dealt with that for,
years.
For years and years and years. So I never really knew what schizophrenia was. I think schizophrenia is one of those disorder or disease.
Yes, it's a mental health disorder.
It's a mental health disorder.
It's uncurable. As of right now, it's uncurable.
Right. We don't know much about it. So it's very much as where anxiety was at one point in time, or narcissistic personality disorder at some point, or bipolar disorder. It's like, where does it come from and what happens? There's just no way to know. So this family was put into research, essentially. Like, where is this coming from? Because now if you're like me, I'm like, how? Yeah. How do 6 out of 12 kids become schizophrenic?
Even the mom was like, help me. Like, what am I doing wrong?
The dad is not schizophrenic.
No.
The mom isn't schizophrenic.
They didn't have it.
And the other 6 didn't have it. So what happened? So spoiler if you're actually watching, but I think you should still watch it. Doesn't matter how much information we give.
Yeah, we're not doing the whole thing. It's too much.
Too much. But for me, some of the things that stand out was the fact that sometimes as a mom, you will do whatever to get your children, like a mom, that mom that loves her children, that mom that's going to champion for their kids.
That knows their kid.
Yes, and that knows what their kid have gone through, and that even though their kid is out here wilding out, destroying things in their home, murdering people.
Putting their hands on her.
Yes, like because there was one that killed the girlfriend and then killed himself.
Yep.
There was one that was sexually abusing one of the daughters.
Yeah.
There was one that was beaten on all the other kids. Like literally like beating on all the other brothers. So as a mom to still say, I need my sons here with me. Let me help them. The government isn't able to help them. The mental health institutions aren't able to help them. Let me keep doing my job. Let me keep doing my research. One thing that stood out to me was one of the brothers, and I think it's one of the sane brothers, talked about how the mom could stand toe-to-toe with any doctor when it comes to schizophrenia.
She knew more than the doctors. By the time she was giving the doctors a report, this is what's happened. This is what we've done. This is what didn't work. This is what worked. What do you guys have?
And to me, it just showed me, like, even when we talk like about Ariel having 5 children, you might have just one. But it's the fact that when you have your children and you love your children, I have 2.
Yeah.
so different ages, right? So I'm dealing with different things, but I can't give up on my kid.
Never.
To me, what I took away from that is this bitch don't want to wash dishes or stop eating as much white rice.
So,
you know, like those are my issues, and I can't give up on her. She might be a smart ass. I cannot give up as a mother, as a parent. Fuck it, as a parent, you have to put the right things in place and get them the help. And sometimes they went to jail. Other times they went to it's not an asylum. What is it?
A medical facility,
like an inpatient.
Yeah,
medical
and
facility.
their parents. I think it was, and this is another thing. Every time they would go to jail, every time they would get put in asylum, the parents were signing out for them. They would go and pick them up. There was one kid who went 16 times in and out since he was 14 to an adult.
And there's another one that they said hundreds of times.
Yeah, in and out. And every time was released into the care of the parents, was released into the care of the parents, was released into the care of the parents.
Did you notice how handsome they were?
All of them.
They were all like jocks. They all look like
beautiful,
football, white. And I don't even like white people like that, but you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get me white boyfriend now.
No, but they were all American. They were smart.
I could have been one of them.
You could have.
Peter could have got this.
Listen.
Did you see him now? Another thing, schizophrenia, you don't realize how badly it affects them, and then they're physical. Like now they showed 3 of them are still alive, right? Is it 3? Or
there's more than 3
They interviewed 3 though.
Yeah.
They interviewed 3 of the
sick ones.
Of the sick ones. One of them passed away, so the other 2, I don't know where they are. But they interviewed 3 of them. They're completely delusional. They've done some shock therapy on some of them.
Yeah.
But the way that they look compared to their brothers that aren't sick, it's like, man, they're going through
it. Makes you sad. But there's this saying that goes, as a mom, you're only as happy as your most unhappy kid.
Ooh.
Like, you can be so happy, but if your one kid is unhappy or is struggling, it's like you got to get them out of it, because it's like you feel guilty as a mom being happy when you're.
That's when you care. And that's when I think about them women that and this is just women that leave their kids behind and don't come back, and they're doing their old thing.
Tell me how you do it.
Living their best life.
How you do it.
They are as happy as Barney. I don't know. They don't get how. That's schizophrenia.
No. No.
It has to be a mental illness, bro.
It has to be. Well, if you look at what happened to it's definitely, you have to have some sort of trauma that shuts down something in you so that you don't feel.
So what I will say, so let's not give up the spoiler of the last episode, which you didn't spoil it for me. So thanks for that. I love spoiling people's stuff. Love spoiling people's endings for them. Love it. If you're watching something and you're talking to me, I'm like, oh yeah, did you know this is going to happen? For no reason.
Which is why we didn't talk while I was reading the book.
I love spoiling stuff, but no, I won't spoil it for you. But I will say, anything that makes you completely just not have any feelings or empathy, something traumatic happened.
Yeah.
Had to have happened.
Yeah.
It's mental health.
It explains so much, and it makes you a little sad.
But I also feel, without telling too much, I feel like they were reaching a little bit just because they want some answers, thinking that it happened to all of them.
I don't think that it happened to all of them. And they went down the list of what happened to each one, which I love that.
Oh, Peter was something else. They think that Peter was
all
like
of them
the nephew.
Were different.
That Peter might have been going down the same path, or the same path as the nephew. The nephew, oh man, he's fine. Okay, well, y'all go watch 6 Schizophrenic Brothers. I won't completely ruin it for you, but it's definitely a good watch as a mom to kind of view another mom really going hard for their kids, and you don't have it that bad. Sometimes you gotta look at somebody else's experience and be like, all right, it's not that bad.
And it also makes you think, like,
or it could be worse.
What I'm doing is not in vain. Like, I'm doing it because I know I'm right.
Right.
Like, I know, like, everybody's like, oh, your kid's fine. Your kid's fine. Your kid's fine. You know your kid.
You got to advocate for your own child.
You know your child.
But then there's some parents, you don't know your kid.
I don't know.
I
mean, okay,
there's some kids that are out here wilding out.
No, absent parents.
Denial, I would say. There are some parents that are in denial.
But they know.
Do they?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like there are some parents that will not get the help for their kids because they feel like their kid is just fine. We're not going to get them tested. We're not going to.
Well, fine. They know. They don't want to get them tested because they don't want to deal with the reality.
So they're like.
It's like blind. If I don't see it, it doesn't exist. What do you mean? My kid's fine. He behaves with me. He talks to me. I don't know. What are you seeing?
Yeah, I know. That's not the type of parent I am.
But some people it's a denial thing, because then at that point, you have to accept the reality of, you're going to have to do a lot of different things for your kid. You're going to have to do a lot of work. You're going to have to put in a lot of time. And that takes effort. And some parents, unfortunately.
A lot of time.
Like, I have personal friends that have autistic children on all different levels, the spectrum. That is a lot of work. You need to do occupational therapy with your child. You have to do appointments. You need to keep
deal with insurance coming in and coming out,
and
the
you
school,
still have to
behavior.
go to work. You still have to be a wife if you're married. You still have to be a mom. You still have to be a sibling. You still have to be an employee. That's a lot of responsibility and work. Who wants to take on more responsibility that's heavy?
Nobody.
We're all trying to get it easy, not worse.
Right. And just being a parent is not easy. It's rewarding for sure. I think it's rewarding. I'm sure we're looking at the worst aspects of their life, and this family is probably not one to look out for happiness and happy endings. But there are ways to still enjoy your children and have great times, but that doesn't come without sacrifices. And I'm sure single people with no kids also go through their own shit too. It just doesn't involve children.
Right.
And you sacrifice some things in your life, but it is rewarding. And at the end of the day, if you ain't got no kids, when you old and shitting yourself, who's gonna clean you? Some nerds, I don't give a fuck about you.
Okay.
So be nice to your kids. Because like me, I ain't wiping nobody's ass. I'm glad you had more than one. Because I'm not doing it.
Me?
No.
I have one.
My mama.
Oh.
I'm glad she had more than one because I'm not doing it.
Ay, Dios.
So it's like have
either that or have money. You're going to have to do something.
Even with money.
You got to settle.
Even with money, you're going into places where you don't know who the nurse is. That you don't have someone or advocating for you. Even though I might not wipe your ass. Let me say, even though Ayana may not be wiping my ass, right? But hopefully I can pray one of the two kids. I have two now. Jesus, I have 50-50 chance. One of them will wipe my ass. Or at least observe the nurse.
Right.
That is over me, right? Come in and check that like I'm being treated right or whatever it may be, right?
Yeah.
So at least you have someone advocating for you. No one's going to do that like your children will if you treat them right.
One thing that I didn't want to tell you, because this made me so sad because I think about my parents now.
Oh.
Girl, please. That's a whole nother disorder. So they're 12 brothers and sisters.
Right. Don't have that many kids. It's stupid.
The dad and the mom were basically the ones that were responsible for the six brothers, right?
Yes.
As a parent, and I can see it now with my parents, you get to a certain age, and it's something that recently happened because of something that I went through in my family.
Oh, right.
My parents have gotten to an age where it's like, we've raised you guys. If anything happens, we know you guys got each other. Like, we know. If something happened to my mom and dad, my parents know that I got my sisters. My sisters got me. Like, yeah. And I love that about my sisters. Like, we will step in without hesitation. And as a parent, I know that gives my parents a certain level of peace. Like, it's like, okay, yeah, we're getting older. Yeah, we're going to die. It's inevitable.
Right.
But at least we can die without la pendencia. Like, what's going to happen to my kid? Who's going to take care of my kid if like, that's
another set of stress too, because you gotta make sure your siblings like each other, that one of them ain't evil as hell and doing that, the other one's dirty.
So imagine this mom with six sons that are sick.
Shout out to Mary.
She was named Mary for a reason.
Yo,
she was named Mary for a reason because and I'm an old.
Mary is
oldest.
The youngest of the 12.
I'm the oldest.
She ain't a virgin,
3.
but she's a Mary.
I'm the oldest of 3, and my parents have always looked at me like, you're the example. You need to take care of your sisters.
You're the example.
I've always been listen.
Shout out to you being somebody example.
My parents don't know that much about my life. They know the example part. The other part, that's what keeps me going. But it's like, now that I've seen my parents go through stuff, it's like, you feel like a sense of responsibility, like with my sister, without hesitation. Come stay in my house.
And also, don't outlive your parents. Don't outlive your kids.
Don't outlive your kids.
Don't outlive your kids. I saw that with my grandma. I was the only one that showed up. My grandma had 2 boys, but she also had 13 siblings that all had tons of children. She had great-grandchildren, grandchildren. Nobody stepped up because her kids weren't there. Now, my dad would have been here. She would have been at his house with 3 nurses, like all this stuff. I don't want to outlive my child. Psalms 3. Definitely going to be here. God protect him because that's my guy. Me and Ayana are a little bit only 18 years apart. It's a toss-up. But with Psalm, I'm here. And I'm going before you. So, sir, brace yourself for losing me and take care of me when I'm down. Keep me here for a long time, but keep me here longer.
No, but it makes you think, like, as a mom.
I don't want to. Actually, you shouldn't outlive any of your kids.
So that's another thing. You know, like when your husband or your spouse dies, you're a widow.
Mm-hmm.
When you're a child and your parents die, you're an orphan.
Uh-huh.
What do they call a parent when their kid dies?
A parent without a kid?
They're still a parent. There's like no transition. It's like, it's something that's not even supposed to happen.
It's got to be something.
No, you're a parent. You're still a parent. You're just a parent who lost a child, but your title doesn't change. It's like, and it's like one of those things, like, there's not even a word for it. So it's like, gosh, you couldn't even think about that happening, that there's no word for it.
Huh. Okay. Well, go check out Six Schizophrenic Brothers. It's on HBO Max. Not sponsored by HBO. Hit me up. So we have, how much time? What are we at? Oh, it don't even matter because I gotta be out of here by 5. You want to do
dating?
No, Carl Lentz.
Okay.
Or
get my notes.
Go, or dating.
Which one, Carl Lentz or which one?
Or I feel like we could do the dating, a whole episode on dating, but I feel like Carl Lentz is also good.
Okay.
Shoot, I don't know.
Pick Ariel.
Letting Go of 6'6" Bay or Carl Lentz, the cheating scandal. Carl one? Okay. So if you are not familiar, there was a church in New York City called Hillsong.
Yep.
There's a whole documentary on Hulu about the fall of Hillsong, essentially. And a lot of it has to do with the actual church and the business of the church and the bigger people in the church. But one of the big things that brought all of that to the forefront was Pastor Carl Lentz infidelity and that
backsliding on the Lord. He backslid
on the Lord. His Lord slid.
You know what? He was a human.
He was human.
He was a human. He had a moment of weakness.
But a few moments. But the point is that this whole thing came crashing down when it was found out that Carl Lentz had been unfaithful to his wife, and he's the lead pastor of this mega church, and he is on the Breakfast Club and on podcasts. He's Justin Bieber's pastor.
He's like the NBA's pastor.
Literally. He was like the pastor of the celebrities. He was great. His messages were like always on point. His social media on point. Like he was a social media pastor that grew this church in the blink of an eye in New York City. So let's talk now. It's been 4 years. This happened 4 years ago. The Hulu documentary came out about a year ago or last year at some point.
No, the Hulu documentary came out this year.
So early this year.
Early this year,
So early 2024, it came out. So now as of June or end of May of 2024, months after that documentary.
Carl Lentz got a podcast.
Carl Lentz got a podcast. And his wife, what's his wife's name?
Oh, Laura.
Laura and Carl and Laura Lentz got a podcast, and they said, can you hear me? Check. This is working. And it was working. So they took 4 years of being quiet, which I always say, do not come onto this mics. Do not go onto social media. Do not go onto your Facebook to tell whatever people are following you your business until you've kind of processed it, healed from it, or are in the path of healing for it, where you can objectively see all sides of what you're going through.
Yeah.
So 4 years later, they decided to come out with a podcast. And I really want to dive into what the information was for the first 2 episodes.
Okay.
Because that's when they kind of came out off the gate saying like, look, here we are. Happened. This is what really happened. And they're not the reason why the church went down under.
No.
Because pastors cheat all the time.
Yes.
They're human. They're literal human. And some of us people really like praise these or idolize certain pastors. And you can't do that because at the end of the day, they are human. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to fall short of the grace of God at some times. So let's keep that in mind when we're doing this. But I know you have some notes to kind of like kick us off. I said notes and she said I'm buying a new notebook.
I bought a new notebook for this because I feel like I have such a moral conviction when people are like, oh, look what he did. Look, because of this pastor, now religion sucks. No.
Please. It sucks because you out here wilding out and you don't want to say
that's just like the biggest. And a lot of people said that. What? A lot of people had those comments.
They do it all the time. What was the pastor here that died of an overdose?
Oh gosh,
Timothy something.
Yeah,
there's a pastor here in Orlando who the other pastors that are constantly cheating, others that are taking money from the church.
Right, but the thing is, it's like I always think it's funny how that's when they highlight religion. It's never when it's good. So I appreciate and I love, and I even told you, I said, his marketing is not doing what they need to do. We need to get them on your podcast network because what they're having going on right now, it's so much bigger than what they're doing.
So you know whose network they're on? And I was wrong the first time. There's Plan B and then there's B-side.
Okay.
B-side is the pastor, Timothy
Ross.
Yes.
He saw my story.
He's the one.
He saw my story that I posted.
So Pastor Timothy Ross is actually who is
part of all of the B-side app is his app, where he's now having some of these Christian pods come on there, and he's very raw and real and relatable.
Yeah.
Like Timothy is really, really, really good. So anyways, Carl Lentz and his wife decided to say, you know, mic check, listen to us, and let me tell you the real truth. And so what are some of the notes that you have?
The first thing that they said was, they actually said what happened, because there was so many rumors going on.
Mm-hmm.
I will personally say I did not know that he had a drug addiction. That came out in the podcast.
He was abusing
prescription
pills.
drugs. He was taking Adderall,
Mm-hmm.
For what you need it for. But then he was over medicating.
Mm-hmm.
He said that at one point he had 3 or 4 doctors medicating him.
I don't understand how you can take that much Adderall. Me being an Adderall person,
Uh-huh.
I have to open them. Taking Adderall like that, I don't know how you can survive.
I mean, but then I also see what his schedule was like, because Hillsong, New York had 7 services a day on a Sunday. So you need to be sharp, and you need to be able to keep going and going and going and going and going and going. And you need to give energy every single service. And you need to shake hands, and you need to look happy.
I think about Pastor JJ doing 3 or 4.
4 a Sunday.
That's a lot.
So he did talk about that. He did talk about how the wife, before all of this came out, the wife had been telling him, you have a problem. You need to get help. You have a problem. You need to get help. He told her about his past. He was molested as a child.
But he didn't realize all that until therapy.
Right. But he did know that this happened. And that was something that was pushing him into living this life of getting close to the edge, seeing how far away you can get with it, and then coming back. Getting close to the edge, seeing how far you can go with it, and falling back.
The bigger thing that shocked me with this this podcast that they just released now, one is that they're living in their truth. They went on the Breakfast Club, and I love the fact that when DJ Envy introduced him as Pastor Carl Lentz, his wife, she took her little jacket off.
She said no. She said no.
And I said, what happened? She said, he's not a pastor anymore.
No, he doesn't want to ever be a pastor.
She said shit on the podcast, and she said, mother effer.
Yeah.
I said, I know that's right, previous first lady. Let them know you're not out here. She said, y'all finna get raw and real and relatable. And saying this right now, you're like, what do you mean? This is a huge thing. He cheated on her with
the nanny.
The
house nanny, yeah. Who was also married.
Correct. So there was that infidelity, but she wasn't the only one.
No.
The reason he got found out is because he was meeting up with some girl at, what's the park in New York?
Central Park?
At Central Park, hanging out there with her, and she kind of found out, and she's the one that aired him out to TMZ.
She did.
So he was out here dropping dick off in different places.
Yeah.
And his wife had no idea. The church had no idea. Nobody knew he was abusing drugs. And when I tell you the wife had to experience this publicly, they got taken away from the church. People stopped talking to them. They lost their income. They had no home.
They had to move.
They had to go to a friend's house, and then the neighbors found out whatever. They're like, they gotta go. The landlord was like, they can't live here.
Their daughter was in a mental health institution because
at the time it happened.
Yeah, she was, because of it. It ended up leading her.
So she had already been having issues. She was already in an inpatient, and he had to call the inpatient place to break the news to her, which they actually think it was a blessing in disguise because
she was there.
She was already mentally so deteriorated.
Yeah.
But for other reasons that they were able to tell her while she was there.
Which is sad.
To me, the biggest thing is that she's still with him.
Yeah.
She's still with him.
And she said why she's still with him.
Yes. And it just reminds me that people need grace. But the way that he got his wife back wasn't by saying, I'm sorry.
No.
Like, suck it up. And the way he did it made you want to be like, that's my dog.
That's how you're supposed
to
do
I'm
it.
I'm a little skeptical sometimes, though, because I'm like, it sounds good. He's a great communicator. So this is not no shade to Carl Lentz. I think he's a great communicator. I think he was a great pastor. I think he's human. Everybody makes mistakes. But sometimes I wonder, this is the skeptic in me. You're great at communicating. You know how to turn on when the cameras come on. Your wife, you could still be doing shit and just got better at it. Or eventually, maybe not now, but now that you're back on the spotlight. Because if your thing was how much attention you were getting, and that can get very addicting.
Oh, yeah.
That validation from women, he's handsome, young-ish, because he's in his 40s maybe now?
He's still young, yeah.
So he's young, he looks good. Now you're going to have money again. You're going to have fame again. These hoes finna come.
Hoes is always going to be there.
But it's a different
Always.
level of it. So will you fall back to that temptation? I pray that he does not fall back into that temptation because it seems like his wife truly, and they have done some serious, deep personal work. So I guess they were separated at some time for a long time, working on themselves. I've been trying to find the 4-day place that they went to. So
isn't it in Arizona? I
don't know where it is, but I can't find, I know the name, but I couldn't figure it out. So they each went to a kind of like a rehab, but it's an emotional rehab.
I found it. It's called On Site in Tennessee, and I have their phone number and address.
Thank you. I told my therapist about it. I'm like, I can't find it. I want to know how much it cost.
It's expensive.
I want to go because they said that you go in there for 4 days and you do a year's worth of therapy.
Mm-hmm. Like I looked at the schedule. I looked at how it's structured. I looked it up for you.
I think I called you and told you to find it for me, right? Yeah. I was dead serious. Before I went to therapy, my therapist said, chill out. You're just trying to spend money now for no reason. Like, get back into it. I was so ready to swipe that credit card and get the fuck out.
I gotta see you next week.
I said, I'm leaving for 4 days. And the Lord said, leave for 6. 6 weeks. I said, just 4 days. And God was like, 6 weeks, get out. Just go where you're going. We can reset you that way and get paid for it.
I really think that the way that they did it, if you are somebody who's married or who's in a relationship, the way that they did it is probably the only way that
it'll last.
As a person, I would accept someone cheating on me to that extent.
So he cheated on her so bad. He says he don't know if she would ever have sex with him. He didn't know if she would ever actually get back with him in a marriage situation. Yeah. He didn't know if she was going to ever be nice to him again, trust him. And he worked and worked and worked and continued to serve. And I think Pastor JJ talks about this whenever him and his wife are having some issues. Clearly, I don't think it's been infidelity. They haven't talked about that, but other issues, whatever, with their
God
marriage.
Willing one day.
What do you mean?
We'll have that.
What?
Whenever we get mad at
them.
I
thought you said God willing one day he cheats on her. I said, oh my God.
No. Have the serving part.
Yes,
because that means a lot.
Get me a man that serves me when he's angry. Love you.
That's when it counts.
Give me a man that serves me when we're angry, because that's what brings the love back. You serve and you eventually get love back. And that goes between the both of you guys. When you're angry at your partner, thank you. When you're angry at your partner, continue to serve them. And that's what he was doing.
That's when your marriage starts.
Yes.
That's when you're in a marriage. When you have to still make dinner for them because you're not going to be petty and not serve them dinner. When you still have to...
Or at least cook the dinner. You don't have to serve it, but you can at least cook and be like, hey, food's made.
Hey, my car broke down. Can you come pick me up? Woo! After you guys just got into an argument that morning.
Uber.
Or, hey, can you help me with this? Or, hey, can you take the kid? Communicating in
you
front.
made this kid to this one. I'm not married. Give me another scenario.
I don't know.
Give me another thing you gotta serve when they pissed you off.
So one thing they talked about was not withholding sex. That withholding sex should not be a punishment.
But they weren't having sex.
But it got to a point where she's like, I couldn't do it. She didn't want to do it. She's like, I don't feel like I need to do that. And I've heard this. Pastor JJ has said it too. Sex is not supposed to be used as a thing that you dangle, that you take away when you're upset and you give when you're okay.
When she wasn't ready to have sex, she wasn't withholding it. She just wasn't ready.
Right. In the beginning, she wasn't ready. She said that she would have a physical reaction to him holding her.
Because it took a long time. I think over almost 2 years before they had sex again, right?
I don't know exactly how long, but it did take a long time because he said that she would say verbally, okay, I want to do it. But he said that when he would, in the midst of, he's like, I couldn't do it because it's like he would feel her uncomfortableness, her distance, disgust, whatever.
That spoke to me because in my last relationship, when things got really dark and really ugly and I no longer felt like that. I was still in love, but I no longer felt that like urge. And I'm like, it's so weird. Like I no longer feel like being with you.
Yeah.
And it was just that my body physically like rejecting any physical things. And that's why if you continue to serve your partner, they'll come back and bust it wide open.
Or
at least doggy style.
It works on your heart. And I'm not trying to be too preachy, but it ministers to you personally. Like you have, and like I said, that's when your marriage starts.
That is. Actually, so I would love for you guys to go watch the podcast called Lights Out with Carl Lentz. Mm-hmm. Lights Out with Carl Lentz is the podcast. Now they did the ones with the kids. I'm not a fan, me personally, of pods with kids. And I told you that. Some of you guys might enjoy it because they actually brought their kids to talk about what they're going through. And I just love the fact that I've been saying I want to look at someone's life where I can reference what they're doing and make it work for me. We don't know if they're telling the full truth or not. It feels like they are, but I feel like I can take inspiration from what they're saying and apply it to my life because some of it is true. I need to serve my partner when I have a partner and not be upset and not serve them anymore or withhold things that I'm supposed to do as a wife or as a partner. So definitely check out the Carl Lentz episode. Podcast. And I think now they have like 7 or 8 episodes out.
I think they have 7 because I just listened to the most recent one with Dr. Aman.
You told me that one. So listen to it for sure. Yeah. I think it'll give you a different lens as to the Christian world, right? Because religion is religion, right? And we're going to look at like Islam. Sometimes it's like, oh my God, they bomb people. And it's like, no, that's not what they do. That's just what's the word that we use for them when they're on the far spectrum of it?
Oh, they're extremists.
Like extremists, right? So Christianity has that.
Yeah, it's called the Old Testament on the Christian. If we lived by the Old Testament, we would be considered ruthless.
Right.
Ruthless.
So definitely take a listen to it because it opens up your eyes to the fact that you have your own accountability with God and your relationship with him. And it's not about religion and church, but more about your spiritual connection with God, your own relationship with him. And then you use the church and those pastors that are gifted through their tongue to then bring life into you so you can continue and build that relationship with God. Because I know that I'm not going to theology school. I know that I'm not going to read the Bible front to back, back to front. I need somebody to break it down to me so then I can go there and get what I need from it.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it should be. We should. I feel bad for people that go to church and don't have a relationship with God. I will say I grew up in church. From the minute I was born, I grew up in church. And I will tell you, church didn't become church to me until I wanted it to become church to me.
Correct.
And that didn't happen for me till I was like maybe 18 or 19.
Well, I think that when you grow up in church, specifically like from birth, from childhood, and your parents, it's a thing you have to do. Is like when your parents take you to their friend's house. Yeah, you got to sit there and play with your toys or sit outside and be quiet, whatever it may be. Church was the same thing. I remember going to church and my mom would bring us coloring books to sit in the back. So we had those are actually memories that I do remember because it was whatever, coloring books, or we would get to play outside while they do their service. Like you just had to go to church. That doesn't give you a connection. I've actually never been baptized. And I know some people I think I'm like close to that. I think I'm almost there, but I think I'm there. I just have to figure out when to do it now at this point. It's like, I got to do it.
Rylan told me she wants to get baptized at next baptism Sunday.
So that's the thing. I don't agree with kids getting baptized.
I feel like, again, my Pentecostal upbringing, you were not allowed to get baptized.
That's what I'm saying. We weren't allowed to get baptized.
Until you were 12, and you needed to do the baptism classes.
Yes.
I still have that certificate. I still have the notes.
I didn't do it.
And I went through it, and I promise you, I did the classes. I did everything. I did everything by the book. And I wish I would have waited longer.
I don't think 12 is old enough either.
No.
Like at 12, what? No, I really think that I think it's cool for a kid to do it, but I just don't want to become. I hate when adults come to me. I already got baptized. I was 5. Shut up. I already got baptized. I was 15. No, there is a whole different relationship that you have with God as an adult, and I think that's when baptism. How old was Jesus when he got baptized?
33. Yeah, it's Jesus' year.
Jesus got baptized as a grown man, and he was God's son. So I feel like you need to be able to choose this relationship, your path. Like when you're a child, your parents are still telling you kind of what to do. Yeah. You don't have much of a choice in certain places, certain things. Right. You can't make any legal decisions. And that relationship that you have with God when you decide to baptize yourself will then change what you do in your life.
And it can either be a blessing or it can feel like it can convict you to the point where you feel bad about yourself. So bad.
I just got baptized. Like, I'm not going to go, even if it was not televised or not on TV, it was just a private baptism, which I wonder if I could do that, a private baptism. But I would love, even if it was private, for me to know, like, this is me, and now I'm telling you, God, that I'm about to do this.
This is a personal
And that doesn't
thing.
mean that you're not going to fall short at times. Absolutely not. But now that I made this decision, I have to move that way. And I feel like I've already been moving in that way without, submerging myself in the water. But I feel like that is when you say, I'm in, and you let others know you're in.
I mean, it like you said, you have been moving in that direction. But then at the same time, now, like I said, as an adult and the relationship that I have with God now, like it takes a certain point in your life where you really gotta.
So you're getting baptized again at some point? Would you want to, or are you cool with the one you did?
See, don't crucify me. I don't know what the rules are with the Lord and the I don't think you can get baptized twice.
I think so.
I don't think you can. I don't know.
Hey Siri.
But
can you get baptized twice?
Under the church of the Lord.
It says.
I think it's only once.
No, you can get. Who don't know?
The Lord and me.
Someone said I was baptized when I was 7 years old. I was very lukewarm Christian for the last 15 years, I believe. I believed, but I did not go to church and practice. This last year, everything turned around for me. They got baptized twice. I've been thinking about getting baptized again. I'm kind of conflicted though. They say some people may because they didn't understand what they were doing. You get baptized as 5 because you had friends in a church group. I'll get baptized. So it says scripturally the answer would be at least B, that it's not necessary. Yeah. We don't really see any written evidence that it should be prescribed. And the New Testament doesn't talk extensively about backsliders, so-called cardinal Christians.
Backsliders.
I mean, I don't know.
I don't want to get baptized again.
If somebody knows, send me a DM and let me know.
Yeah, I don't feel like I want to get baptized again. I feel like when I did it the first time, I didn't do it with any ill intent. I did know enough for me to make the decision, because I could have said, no, I don't want to do it.
Right.
I think that now that I'm older and my relationship with God is completely different from when I was 21 even. Mm-hmm. I think now my biggest thing is like I'm trying to live a more godly life. And with that being said, it's like trusting God like wholeheartedly and trying to do my best with like reading the Bible, even something as small as like going to church every Sunday. Like that's a commitment on its own. Sundays is the one day that I don't have nothing to do. That's a commitment. And I've been going every single Sunday.
I feel so good after. There's so many, I would tell you probably almost most mornings, I don't want to go to church. Yeah. I don't want to get up. But I also know how much I enjoy it. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to rip myself. Once I'm in the car on the highway, I'm good. And once I get there, I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I came. Except when Pastor JJ's not there. But that's besides the point. I will say I do love going to church and doing this. I think I'm going to get baptized. I think I will.
Oh, I'll be there with the camera. I'll be your what is it? Kris Jenner.
My Kris Jenner, please do. No, because it's a big deal for me. I feel like I've been publicly talking about this walk, and I feel like also so many doors keep opening up for me, and I need to remember that everything that I'm getting is not my doing, but his doing. So yeah, I think if I got anything from the Carl Lentz podcast is we all have redemption. We all get grace if you do the work.
Yes.
If you do the work. I don't think Carl will be where he is right now if he was not doing the work. I don't think he would have his wife. I don't think he would have this podcast. I don't think he'd be working, because he's working for a church now of some sort.
I don't think he would have his life. At some point, he was very suicidal. Yeah. And he talked about that. And I can see where that can push you to that.
When you have everything and you go to now, the world hates you because it's not New York City. This church comes from Australia.
And they got abandoned by everybody.
Everyone, people that he said that they were like brothers and sisters. They were like, do not contact us. We cannot be seen with you.
But there's a Bible verse that says, even though like your mother and father may forsake you, that there's a Bible verse that talks about that. Like God will never
forsake you.
And it's like, even in the midst of that, trying to find that.
That's hard because you're still living here. What you're feeling is people rejecting you. What you're seeing is people rejecting you. But what you don't feel and see is that God is giving you grace, and you don't even know how that's going to work out.
And that's where your faith starts.
Yeah.
Look at that.
It does. For me, I think I've had a few instances, and we can maybe say 2 or 3, and then we'll move on to the letter. For me, it was the death of my father and what transpired after with my family.
Okay.
I felt completely, this is it. Yeah. You don't belong here anymore. I almost did some things that could have literally ended maybe not my physical life, but my free life.
Yeah.
And
thank you, Lord.
Thank you, Jesus. And the abusive relationship that I was in. There were days when I was in that corner balled up and thinking, this is it. Just take me. There's no way there is a God here with me. Why am I keeping this faith? But at the same time, instead of going to fuck this shit, let me just do something crazy or go out into the street, I was like, I have to rely on this faith. And I relied on the blind faith, things that I couldn't see, things that I couldn't feel, in hopes and in faith that things will get better. And here I am.
You were still.
I was still. Do you remember two times or two events or things that have happened?
The first one, I think, was the first time I had like a depressive episode.
But it wasn't triggered by anything?
Yes, it was triggered by, so I was going to school. I was working like crazy. I was going to school.
High school?
No,
college.
When I was college. I was working like crazy, going to school, and I failed. Like, I failed out of the class.
Oh.
And to me, that was a big deal because I was like, when I was in high school, I'm like, I don't know what I want to do in college yet, so I'm just going to take some time. So then I put in my mind, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm doing. And I was paying for school. And I was doing everything. And I was working hard and I was studying. And I missed it by like a couple points. And the school was like, yeah, you failed. You got to start over again. And I remember like that year, that was the first time I had like the depressive breakdown. On top of that, it was after my dad had his heart attack. So it was like the stress of the heart attack plus the stress of school. I had a breakdown. And after that, it was everything that happened with my daughter's dad.
Have you talked about publicly about BPD?
Yeah, we've talked about it here and there, but not like in depth.
It just shows again, like I don't know what my disorder is. But I mean, from ADHD alone, it's like my life is very different. I have different obstacles than a neurotypical person with a neurodivergent brain. But it all comes from trauma.
And I felt for a long time, I used to hate, and that's a very strong word for me because I don't feel that often. I used to hate in the midst of what was going on with my daughter's dad and the abuse and everything, because I remember there was a couple arguments that me and him had, and I would literally be crying. I'm like, you broke me.
Like, and there's no coming back from
no coming back from that. Like, you broke me.
How has your faith now in your journey helped you get past it? Did you ever think you'd be where you are today then?
No. There's been times, I will say, like, I don't know if I've ever like said this out loud, only because I feel like people have such a stigma, and then people look at you with like puppy dog eyes, and I hate that. There was a point where I was very suicidal.
Okay.
And I was very suicidal, and I had just had a baby. And it put me in such a dark place because I'm like, it even put me into a position where I'm like, I can't even get away. I can't even end this because who's going to take care of my baby? I don't want to leave this responsibility on my parents. I don't want to leave this responsibility on my sister. And it made me even worse because it's like, I want to die and I can't even die in peace.
I can't even die.
And I can't even die in peace. So then it put me in a really, really, really dark place.
And so you're going to have anxiety after death.
Exactly.
What if you end up with anxiety after? That'll be
That's what I'm saying.
You try to kill yourself to get out of this BS, and then you kill yourself, and then you end up over there with all this anxiety. And if hell is the way that is described, hot.
Like Florida.
No. Worse.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't even like the heat in Florida.
You gonna be stressed.
I know.
So stay here. Actually, there was a sermon that the pastor did about suicide. And so that one, we can probably talk about that one day. Maybe I can bring someone here. Well, all I want to say as far as that you just said you maybe never said it out loud before, or feel like you might have been shamed or looked down with puppy eyes. If you're listening to this right now, I don't think you should ever have shame of speaking that out loud, because I hear it all the time. Like, for me, it's more because people feel vulnerable to send me emails or text messages or DMs, because I look for other entertainers or podcasters that talk about it, but it's very common for people to have postpartum, for people to have experienced such traumatic things at the hands of other people that makes you feel like there's no hope. And that's when I think religion comes into play, faith comes into play, and it's like, look, that second when you feel like you no longer want to be here, it's when you have to think about those around. Don't be selfish. Think about those around you, how you're going to affect those people around you, the trauma you're going to inflict on all those around you, and have faith that God is there, or whatever you believe in, a higher power, to get you through that, and that there are resources to help you.
Yeah.
Now, when you have schizophrenia, what is the faith there?
at that point, I've never dealt with anybody schizophrenic.
Me neither.
That
we know of.
I wish I would have, just so that I can have like a different conversation with that person, because I feel like it's like bipolar disorder and not the same in no regard. But I do feel like there's moments where you do have clarity and you know that what you're doing is wrong.
Right.
So I bet you that must be very hard on them, because they have no control over not putting my hands on my mom, who's only trying to give me my medicine.
Right.
Because she loves me so much. I bet you there's moments that it goes away and you have like the noise is not so loud and you have like that quiet moment, and it's like, it feels like it's very sad and lonely and depressive, because it's like, I don't want to do that, but I can't help myself.
Right.
And it sucks. And I feel like in those moments, if you're somebody believes in anything, all you have to hold on to is like that little promise that.
Yeah. Little promise. I have a Bible verse for this. I didn't know we were going to go this way, because this was not on the outline in any way, shape, or form. But to segue into, ending the podcast now, there is a Bible verse. So if you guys know, every episode I end it with a Bible verse. And this Bible verse, I actually noted it and made a note on my Bible app. I don't know if you guys do notes on your Bible app or add stuff, but I wrote this 3/17/22, your birthday.
Aw.
And this is a month and a half after I came back from Jersey.
Oh,
so
boy.
This is crazy, because I'm literally just scrolling right now through my notes to pick a Bible verse.
Was that a time
to be alive? So for this episode, I'm going to read John 14:27. Okay. I saved this and noted it on 3/17/22. And it says, I give you peace, the kind of peace only I can give. It isn't like the peace this world can give. So don't be worried or afraid. Mm-hmm. Kid you not. While we were talking, you see me looking down at the phone. I'm like, I'm just going to pick one that I wrote a note to. And the note that I wrote on this, it was me. Sometimes I'll just kind of journal on a Bible verse. So maybe if you guys want to do this while you're listening or while you're doing your study. So what I wrote 3/17/22 was, I've prayed for peace for a very long time now. I asked, even begged you, God, to bring me peace and be removed and he removed the person that caused me the most anxiety. Now I exist in silence. No more being asked to do a million things. No more expecting to help someone else before me. I finally feel free from the claws of a man that did not have my best interest at heart. I no longer need to worry. I do not know what it feels like just yet, but a peace that only God can give me is coming, and I'm ready to receive it.
That's a different level of peace.
I am in a space right now. Sometimes this is why you have to journal. So this is a little bit of a journaling that I do with my verses when I read them. And it's like, how does it speak to you? Because literally they say, read the Bible and see what God is giving you from it.
You get something different than what I get.
Right. So again, it's God telling us here, I give you peace, the kind of peace only I can give it. It isn't like the peace this world can give. So don't be worried or afraid. And sometimes we fall into the world's peace, where it could be going out and drinking and being with friends, staying busy,
a job.
Workaholic and work. I can relate, submerging myself into work. Oh, that gives me peace. Or binging days and days of Netflix, or sleeping in, or whatever that you think that peace might give you. There's nothing in this world that can give you the peace that God can give you. When I look back to this, I think about who I was and where I was at this point. And I wasn't sure. At the end, I say, there's a peace that only God can give me, and it's coming. I'm ready to receive it. Mm-hmm. I knew that somehow, some way, God found a way to remove the person that was causing me the most anxiety in my life. The words when I say, I'm finally free from the claws of a man that did not have my best interest at heart. It wasn't even the fact that he might have been physically abusive or verbally abusive or try to take money or whatever it may be. It wasn't even that. It was just, you didn't have my best interest at heart.
And it was literally claws because you felt like you couldn't leave.
Sharp ones, like these nails, sharp in there. It's like if something is in you like this, like holding onto these claws, the second you try to move, it's going to hurt. Mm-hmm. It's like those dog collars that they put on them that have the little things on it.
Yeah,
and when you pull it, those spikes hurt. So you need to stay still, and you have to do whatever they say, because if not, those claws will claw at you. They will rip your skin. They will rip your organs. Literally, your brain will become like a chalkboard. So I was released from that. And in March 17th, 2022, I just knew that it was better for me. Better is coming. And I had to believe that. I don't even remember this. John 14:27. I did not remember this passage of the kind of peace that only God can give me. So when we're talking about you going through something very dark in your life, remember there's a peace that only God can give you. But if you don't believe that it can get there, because things are so dark right now, it will never come. You have to have that blind faith that God will give you the peace. So right now it's dark. Right now you feel like you can't move. Right now you have those claws on you. Right now you're like, I'm not going to pay these bills. I done got laid off. My business is not working. My man keep cheating. They're evicting me from my house. My car broke down. I don't got money for the bus, for the train. My kid has autism. My kid is having seizures, schizophrenic. I have 6 of them, whatever it may be. You have to understand that there's a peace that God is going to give you. Believe it, and better will come eventually. It will come when you're ready and you have trusted in him 110%. And I did it. You've done it.
Yeah. It's scary. It's so scary. For somebody
scary
like
is
me.
An understatement.
For somebody like me who has like a type A personality, like I love to plan. You know I love a plan.
Mm-hmm.
I have plan A, plan B, plan C.
You gotta let him plan it.
And these past couple of months, I want to say, I have literally said like, you know what? Let's try something different.
You can't plan everything.
You can't plan for everything, but at the same time, I have been more faithful with me, and you know this about me, it has been my finances.
That's 99.9% of people.
Right. But even like my finances, that's something that's your anxiety. Yeah, it drives me crazy. And I haven't been more chill than I've been these past couple months. And I've been tithing every time. And this is the least amount of money I've made in the past 5 years.
Oh, and you're on the tithing
the challenge, yeah.
Challenge. Well, if you want to join the tithing challenge, I think it already started though, right?
It did.
But
listen, you can still do it.
Check out Journey Church. I'll tag their YouTube here on the description of the show. I think Pastor JJ is great. If you have your pastor that you love, continue that. But if you're looking for one, that's who has helped me for the past 6 years. To really get into it, along with Sarah Jake Roberts, along with Bishop T.D. Jake. Those are my top 3 preachers that I listen to, because I really do think that they're anointed and can help you have that blind faith that most people don't have. I don't know them. I don't wish to know them. I don't want to be their friend. I don't want to hang out with my pastors.
Well, hold on. We want Sarah.
I would love to interview Sarah. I don't want to be friends. One thing I know, I don't want to be friends with Sarah.
No.
Sarah Jake Roberts, I need you. I want you on the podcast. Would love to talk to you. Would love to even give you more of your flowers if I'm able to one day. But I don't want to be friends with any of these pastors because they're all human. I would love to, in some capacity, work with them, of course, because being in the presence of people that are such blessed can also bring that blessing to you when it's genuine. So if it's in God's hands for me to be there somehow, some way, I would love to do it. But I am grateful for the sermons that they put out, the books that they write. We have access to them and their life and their gift through what they're putting out and their content. So yeah, do that. Keep faith and read that passage. I'm about to post it somewhere because I need some peace. I need some peace. It's coming though. And I continue to believe it. So thank you again for being a part of Pivot with Purpose. And I'm going to go pick up my kid now because I know they about tired of him probably at school. So let me bring him home so he can eat chicken nuggets. See y'all later. Goodbye.